Now we are going to start with a unit that is the friction and the force. You should know that what is a force. Like from the previous classes you already know that we say that force is a push or a pull. We say that force is a push or a pull. That means if you are pushing something or you are pulling something, so that is called as force. That means you are applying a force. But in a technical term or as per your standard, you should know that force is an external influence. Like this definition you need to write, that force is an external influence. That means you need to apply from outside. That means it is always applied from outside. It is not within the body. So it is an external influence that can it can bring about these certain changes in the body. First, it can change the position of the body. What does it mean by saying position? It means that it can it can change the position, that like if the body is at rest, it can make the body change into motion. Likewise, if the body is already in motion, it can make the body to rest. That means it can change the position, that it can stop the motion and it can make the body to be at rest. So whether it is from rest to motion or it is from motion to rest, we say that a force is changing the position of the body. So position here means that either from rest to motion or from motion to rest. So force is an external influence that can change the position of the body, that is from rest to motion or motion to rest. Now I'll cite few examples. Suppose you can say that ball is at rest, so kicking a football is an example where a rest body changes into motion. Likewise, motion can be changed into rest. Like if I say that like there is a fielder, like we are playing a cricket and there is a fielder who is doing a fielding. So what does it do actually? Whenever the batsman hit the ball, that fielder can actually catch the ball. So when he make the catch, that means he is stopping the ball. Earlier the body was in motion. Now when he catches, the body changes from motion to rest. So we can say that catching of ball is an example where the motion is transformed into a rest. Second, force can bring about a change, that it can change the speed of the body. It can change the speed of the body. As you all know that the car has an accelerator. So whenever you apply force on this accelerator, the speed increases, and when you decrease the force on this accelerator, the speed of the car decreases. So that means it can actually this thing affect the speed also. Third, it can change the direction of the body. It can actually change the direction of the body. For example, you are driving a car, so when you apply force on the steering wheel, then what happens? When you just apply a force on the steering wheel and you just turn the steering, then your car also gets turned. So that means you are changing the direction of the body. So that means moving a steering wheel of car result in the change in the direction. Likewise, one more example. Suppose again we are playing a cricket and the bowler is throwing a ball, and when he throws a ball, then the batsman hit the ball. So earlier when the bowler was you can say when he was throwing a ball, the ball was going in this direction. But when the batsman hit it, so it moves in another direction. So that means hitting of the ball by a batsman is again an example where the direction of the body is changed by applying a force. Third, it can change the dimension of the body. Dimension here refers to shape and size. Dimension refers to shape and size. Like when you are squeezing a toothpaste, then what happens? You are changing when you are applying a force and you are squeezing a toothpaste. So that means you are changing the shape of the tube of the toothpaste. Likewise, I'll write here squeezing of toothpaste is an example where you are changing the dimension by applying a force. Moreover, we can have one other example also, like we say that you are compressing a sponge. So when you are compressing a sponge, then again you are applying a force and you are just changing the shape of the sponge. Likewise, you are stretching a rubber band. So here also you are changing its shape and size. So that means by applying force, these things, stretching of rubber band and squeezing of toothpaste, they form an example under the dimension of the body. So that means force is an external influence which can bring about these changes, that it can change the position of the body, it can change the speed of the body, it can change the direction, and it can change the dimension also. Position here refers to rest to motion, motion to rest, and dimension, shape and size, speed as speed only, direction as direction also only. So when you are going to get a question, you need to write these things and please formulate at least 2-3 examples under each heading, that how it is changing the position, how it is changing the speed, direction or dimension. So this is what about the force. Now we are going to study about the types of forces. Now we are going to study about the types of forces. So we have different types of forces, like we have muscular force, we have gravitational force, we have frictional force, we have magnetic force, we have electrostatic force. So these are the different forces which we get to see in nature, that is the muscular force, gravitational, frictional, magnetic and electrostatic. So let us discuss one by one. Muscular force is the force applied by muscles on any object. The force applied by muscles. Suppose you are carrying a suitcase, then you are applying a muscular force because you are touching it and your muscles are applying force, so that is called as muscular force. The force applied by muscles on any body is called as muscular force, like you are lifting a suitcase. Second is gravitational force, the force that is exerted by the Earth's gravity. Force that is exerted by the, here it is muscles, force exerted by muscles, here it is force exerted by Earth's gravity. As you have encountered this force normally also, like whenever you throw something, suppose I'll throw this marker, so what happen? It will go down because then the Earth is exerting a gravitational force on it, and you know that gravitational force is always an attractive force. That is why when you release anything, it just moves down. It doesn't fly here or here, it just moves down because the gravitational force is always attractive, and as a result Earth is attracting everything towards itself, and that is the gravitational force. Next is a frictional force. Whenever two bodies come in contact with each other, then one body opposes the motion of another body, and that is something called frictional force. We'll discuss this force in detail after the completion of this type of forces, because this is in your syllabus. You need to know everything about the frictional force. So for just this moment, you should know that it comes into notice when one body has a relative motion to other body. That means one body is just trying to move on the another body. Next is the magnetic. Obviously, as you know, force exerted by magnet on objects, and you know that magnet can actually attract the iron objects towards itself and certain other materials also. So magnetic force is the force exerted by magnet. Electrostatic force, force that is exerted by charged particles. Force that is exerted by charged particles. We know that we have two kinds of charges, positive and negative, and this electrostatic force can be attractive or can be repulsive. Attractive, if we see that two opposite charges are there, like if you try to bring positive and negative charge, so they are going to attract each other. So that its nature is attractive if the charges are of opposite nature. But if the charges are same, it is repulsive. If the charges are same, suppose you try to bring positive towards positive or you try to bring negative towards negative, so it is always going to be repulsive, that they will not come closer. Other than that, they will start moving away. That is called as repulsive force. That means they are repelling each other. So this is all about the type of forces. Muscular, force exerted by muscle; gravitational, force exerted by Earth's gravity; frictional, when two bodies come in contact with each other and one body just tries to move over another body. Force exerted by magnet is magnetic force, and force exerted by charged particles between charged particle is an electrostatic force. It is a normal force. This is an attractive force. This is an opposing force. This is again an attractive force, and this can be attractive or repulsive just depending upon if the charges are same or charges are different. So it depends upon the nature of the charges. So now we are going to study about the frictional force in detail, as I told you that this is included in your syllabus. So we need to know that what is actually friction and how we just increase or decrease the friction, or why friction is a necessary evil. So it is an important force. So we are going to discuss that.